So Vaishnavas will go and spend their time in Vrindavan, especially in Vrindavan, and taking severe austerity to please Krishna. And they'll all be blessed with the love of Godhead. It is also said that even animals like mice and rats and some insignificant living entities also performed tiny seva in Kartik month, and they also attained liberation. So whatever practice we have been doing, we should try to do a little more from the regular practice during this Kartik month. If somebody is able to chant 4 rounds, he should try to chant 8 rounds. Somebody is not reading regularly, they should try to read Prabhupada's books regularly in Kartik month. Then personal tapasyas, not to hurt anybody, not to blame anybody. Try to be consciously connected to spirituality all the time. So these are the personal austerities which we can take in Kartik month. Also encouraging new people to take up some vrata, because as I said, anybody who performs tapasya in Kartik month are very, very special. And that too in Vrindavan. So I will, before starting our session, I'll tell you a small comparison of Damodar Lila. We know that last shloka, where we know in the Damodar Ashtakam that Nalakubera and Manigriva, the 2 Tamala Arjuna trees, they got liberated. So there is a comparison between the Uluka, the wooden mortar, and also Nalakubera and Manigriva. Once the pastime was over, when Krishna dragged that Uluka, Utkal, I don't know what you call it in Kannada. Satish Prabhu, what do you call that in Kannada for that mortar? So when you drag this, whatever, Uluka, Utkal, that wooden mortar.
I don't know, Prabhuji.
Very good. What Kannadiga Prabhu you are? Okay. So when Krishna was dragging that, then he pulled it in between the trees, and 2 brilliant Tejasvi Gandharvas, Kubera's sons, they appeared and they got liberated. So after that, that Uluka, the Utkal, asked Krishna, so what about me? Krishna asked, what? I followed you wherever you went. So actually the Utkal was very bigger than Krishna. So Krishna actually jumped and sat on that Utkal and feeding monkeys when Mother Yashoda chased him. So Utkal was very big and huge. It was like bigger than, taller than Krishna, bigger, huge, in size. So the Utkal said, I followed you wherever you went. You pulled me in the courtyard, then you went in between the trees. I simply followed you. So what? Then Krishna said, so you will also take place in Leelas eternally. So the Utkal also started taking place in Leela eternally in Goloka. That is why in the last shloka, Acharya say, I pray to Radharani. I pay my respects to Krishna. I pay my respects to Krishna's belly. I pay my respects to the rope which tied Krishna's belly. I pay my respects to Uluka, Utkal also. Right? So the Utkal is bigger than Krishna. But very obediently, without any hesitation, simply followed Krishna wherever Krishna pulled him. Right? So the Utkal, you see now, you see the comparison between Utkal and Yamala Arjuna trees, who got easily liberated. The trees were there in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj said, I don't know, when I was young, a baby, I have seen these two trees standing there. Nanda Baba said, I have heard that my father had seen this tree standing for right from his birth. So nobody knew from when the trees are standing in the courtyard of Nanda Baba. So it's there for like many years. So Brajvasis have seen these two huge trees, for many years in Gokul. So who got easily liberated? The trees or the Utkal? Utkal got easily liberated, right? So Acharyas explain the trees were standing there in the courtyard of Nanda Baba and meditating and simply waiting for Krishna to appear. And they were deeply meditating, right? But they couldn't do one small thing. What is that? They could not do devotional service. Whereas the Utkal simply within few moments got liberated because he was simply obediently following wherever Krishna dragged him. He did devotional service. It's a beautiful comparison between the Yamala Arjuna trees and the Utkal. So in this month, if we could do even tiny seva obediently. Utkal was bigger than Krishna. So some of us may be rich, some of us may be poor, some of us very good looking with all qualities, some of them, like not so much. All kinds of things. Maybe by education, somebody may be very well known. But simply do little seva in this month, like that Utkal. And Krishna will definitely bless that living entity. So that is the speciality of this month, Kartik month. Whatever we could do, some kind of austerity, chanting every day without breaking, reading Bhagavatam, discussing Krishna Katha, inspiring new people to do seva. Everything has got a very special thing. So for the next 5 days, we are going to discuss some pastimes from the different forests of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is very special and it is only for pure devoted souls. Even though there is no difference between Navadvip and Vrindavan. Navadvip is called Audharya Dham. Audharya means unlimited blessings without any condition. Audharya is a word which is used in many languages, as Audharya itself. In Tamil, they say Audharyam. Malayalam, they say Audharya. I have heard even in Kannada, they use this word Audharya. Because there is no condition, unlimited mercy. Audharya Dham, Navadvip, and Madhurya Dham, Vrindavan. So even though there is no difference between these two dhams and both the dhams are one and the same, still there is something very tiny. Like Prabhupada said, when devotees asked, Srila Prabhupada, can we develop a community in Vrindavan where all the families can stay and this thing? Then Prabhupada said, all that we can do in Mayapur, not in Vrindavan. Prabhupada said, in Vrindavan, only business is Krishna consciousness, right? So it is something very intense, very committed, a very serious thing. So Vrindavan, visiting Vrindavan in the month of Kartik is the most glorious seva which a human can ever do in his life. There is nothing greater than that. So these 6 days we are trying to meditate on Vrindavan and the forests of Vraja. So please join, and every day some few minutes we can share, about the glories of the place. In this way we will be able to think of Vrindavan, most glorious and pure dham. Vrindavana Ramyasthana Divya Chintamani Dham. Rupa Goswami says it's a very, very special. There, pure devotion is the means. If we go to Jagannath Puri, we can please the Supreme Lord with wooden mortar is called Oralu in Kannada. Okay, very nice name, Oralu. So, if we go to Jagannath Puri, there the whole devotional service is to do with Mahaprasad. Lord Chaitanya personally distributed prasad in Jagannath Puri to everyone. Every day he will distribute to Haridas Thakur, and it's all to do with prasad, And even though other things are there, prasad takes a very primary role. In Navadvip, Nam Sankirtan takes a very primary role. In Vrindavan, whatever we do, purity matters. That is why Prabhupada also said not to spend too much time in Vrindavan loafing around without aim. Prabhupada was very upset, when devotees were going around temples and Prabhupada was giving a talk, a lecture in Sri Krishna Balaram Mandir. So Prabhupada said, no roaming around, please come back. And Prabhupada very clearly, he has written many, many letters about Vrindavan saying that no simply roaming around and wasting time in Vrindavan. That is why our Maharajas will take groups of devotees and they visit places, hear about Krishna Katha. They get very less time to go and sleep in their room. They go back to the room, hit the bed and they sleep off. They don't give time because it is intense in Vrindavan. Okay? Vrindavan Dham ki jai. So today first we are going to Mathura. Mathura is part of Madhuvana. And even much, much more before Krishna's appearance, Mathura has got a significant role in Puranas, in Itihas epics, and everywhere. So when we travel in Vrindavan and all those forests, there is no material comparison. There is no rich, poor, young, handsome, ugly, nothing like that. Humility and seva. That is all. When we travel in the forests of Vrindavan, many places we can see Babajis who are chanting 64 rounds, 128 rounds, and cleaning the grooves and that place, maintaining the place, and whoever visits, feeding them prasad, devotional service and humility. That is the mood in Vrindavan. We can never find fault with anyone else, even though it may be materially or it may be proven one. So let's go to Mathura. And much before Krishna's appearance, Mathura had many, many beautiful pastimes and very significant leelas happened in Mathura. So it all starts with Dhruva Maharaja. Dhruva Maharaja actually did tapasya in Madhuvan on the bank of Yamuna. So, Satish Prabhu, we have that slide, that poster. So Dhruva Maharaj, you know, he did a very intense tapasya. And Bhagavatam explains that Madhuvan was so beautiful, so beautiful. And Dhruva Maharaja's tapasya was so intense, he divided his tapasya in 4 stages. First, he didn't take, first he stopped grains, then he stopped fruits and vegetables, then he stopped even drinking water, then he even stopped breathing. So intense. And the scriptures very beautifully say, tapasya is the wealth of a hermit, of a spiritualist. You know, tapasya makes that person internally strong. That is the only wealth of a sadhu. You can see Goswamis in Vrindavan, Raghunath Das Goswami, and all these Goswamis, how intensely they were doing tapasya, especially Raghunath Das Goswami. He will eat, 2 rotis once in a week or once in 10 days. Their tapasya was very intense, very intense. So, Dhruva Maharaj got Narad Muni's blessings in Madhuvan, and he started the severe, intense tapasya. Because of his intense tapasya, the 5 elements in this material universe got stuck. They didn't move. Panchaputa got stuck. Even the devas in heaven, they couldn't breathe because there was no movement of air. And they could all feel a tremendous temperature emanating from Madhuvan and affecting all the 14 planetary systems. Then all the devas, they went to Brahmaji, and Brahmaji went to Bhagwan and told, somehow stop this boy. It looks like this boy will turn the whole material universe into ashes. See, what a beautiful thing. If we do tapasya in Madhuvan, the supreme Deva, Brahma himself, will go to Lord Krishna and recommend about our case. That is the beauty of Madhuvan. Here, all the devas are going and recommending to Brahmaji. And Brahmaji went and recommended to Vishnu, Narayana. And the devotion and the tapasya was so intense, Lord appeared on top of Garuda and blessed him with the conch shell so lovingly. When Lord touched Dhruva with the tip of the conch shell, Dhruva simply opened his eyes and drank the beauty of the Supreme Lord. Lotus petaled eyes and long ears and neck looking like a conch shell, glowing, and Dhruva became very blissful. And immediately Dhruva realized what an amazing spiritual bliss I am experiencing. And this material world and the enjoyment in this material world which we are hankering for are nothing in front of Krishna consciousness. Many times, even though we are devotees, we all have divided devotion. We have devotion to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. At the same time, we have devotion to money, name, fame, glory, and the security in this material world. We have invested our security in the material assets rather than the lotus feet of Krishna. So I would like to get an answer from the devotees. You can type in the chat box. If there is anyone who has really invested his wholesome faith in the lotus feet of the Lord that is my ultimate protection, and his faith is not there in material securities like finance and family and things. I have invested my full faith in the lotus feet of Lord more than these material assets. So I would like to see the answers. If there is anyone, or if somebody want to say, no, my interest is in material assets only, but I surrender to Krishna, and that is like an ancillary one, please go ahead and type in your chat box. So this place is only for Anya Bhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavrutam. Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. If we go, that is why once even Prabhupada scolded devotees when they were doing business in Vrindavan. Prabhupada said, our only business is Krishna consciousness in Vrindavan. Not like buying properties there, investing and trading. All that. Vrindavan is not for that place. Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. So Dhruva went there with so much of desires. Dhruva went with so much of desires in his heart. Okay, nobody sent an answer. So Dhruva's desire was, he wanted to become bigger than his father. He wanted to have a huge empire, bigger than Brahma. So he went with so much of desires to Madhuvan. Okay, some devotees, very good, happy to see. So he went with so much of desires to Madhuvan. He wanted to even bigger than Brahma. Then when he saw the beautiful form of the Lord, immediately Dhruva realized these are all pebbles in front of a jewel. What I'm counting. So when he came back to his kingdom, he was completely detached. But when he was going towards Madhuvan, he has so much of hankering for material recognition. So Vrindavan is a place where we should pray. I want to have undivided devotion unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Now, with the devotion, we look for money, we look for prestige, we look for name, fame, glory, we look for a recognition. People should understand me, people should adore me, they should respect me. All that we have very deep desire. But Vrindavan is not for those type of people. So this Kartik month, we can beg Krishna that at some point we should also get that whatever acharyas are talking about pure bhakti, whatever Goswamis had spoken about bhakti, we should also taste a drop of that nectar. So Madhuvan was a beautiful place of intense devotion by Dhruva. So it's a great place. Now we are in Mathura, Madhuvan. So we pray at the lotus feet of this great Bal Bhakta Dhruva that we also should be able to say no to material life at least once. Suppose suddenly we go tomorrow to office and the seniors say that you are promoted, you have become manager, then immediately we will say, oh, it's all Krishna's mercy, right? But Vrindavan is not that kind of a place. You can see all the Goswamis who were prime ministers. One of them were earning hundreds and thousands of gold coins per day. And some of them were kings. Some of them were royal citizens. They gave up everything and came to Vrindavan. And, Kaupina Kantashritau. The only possession they had was their undergarment and nothing else. And what is their business? Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natabhi. They were simply counting. Materialistic people will count money, they will count gold, they will count their this thing. But what these people were counting, they were simply counting Sankhya numerals, counting Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natabhi. They're simply counting how many names I have chanted today, how many times I have paid my obeisances to Govardhan Hill and Vaishnavas, how many times I have danced today. This is what they were counting. Sanatan Goswami, at the age of 80, he was paying namaskara to 1,000 Vaishnavas per day. 1,000 Vaishnavas per day. And they were keeping track, count of everything. Sometimes people say, Prabhuji, I'm chanting all the time, I don't count. You know, holy name is there all the time in my heart. Krishna is always there in my heart. People say all these things. But even Goswamis, they had a count of everything. Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natabhi Kalavasani Krito. So let us pray to the lotus feet of Dhruva that we should also be able to do that intense devotion, tapasya, and understand the nectar of holy name. Okay. Then next Leela is Ambarish. So what we learned from Dhruva is, complete renunciation and intense tapasya. So next we go to Ambarish Leela. Ambarish is also meditating in Madhuban. See how glorious place is this. Right from Satya Yuga, all these wonderful personalities have been doing tapasya there. They were all doing different kinds of tapas. And in Ambarish Leela, you will see he is completely innocent. And Ambarish Maharaj was doing simply Ekadashi Vrata. And he was not drinking water and Purva Upavas. So Ambarish Maharaj was there and whole day and night he was chanting and, simply meditating on the Lord. Then Durvasa appeared. Durvasa came and said, oh, you are also taking Ekadashi. I'm also taking Ekadashi. So we will break together. And actually Ambarish Maharaj became very happy. In the life of Ambarish Maharaj, if he moves his body, if he uses his mind to think something, if he uses his intelligence to contemplate something, if he uses his limbs to touch something in this material world, all that activities will be simply connected to the Supreme Lord Krishna and nothing else. What amazing personality. He doesn't have any connectivity to material world at all. His mind, his body, his words, his action, everything was to please the Supreme Lord. So Durvasa actually was very happy to break the Ekadashi fast with Maharaj Ambarish. And Maharaj Ambarish said, very good. I am also happy. So Durvasa said, I'll just go to Yamuna, take a dip and come. And Ambarish Maharaj was waiting. Durvasa said, I'll come in a kshana. But that particular time for breaking Ekadashi Vrata is getting delayed, getting closer. So Ambarish Maharaj was wondering what it takes so long for Durvasa to come back. So ceremoniously, actually Ambarish Maharaj did not break the fast. Ceremoniously, for the name's sake, he took 3 drops of Yamuna water and simply meditated on the lotus feet of Lord Hari and sipped 3 drops of Yamuna water. That is all. Ambarisha did. He didn't break his fast like Iskcon devotees eating on Ekadashi day. Just 3 drops of water. And Durvasa came there and said, what kind of a king are you? You are egoistic. You think you are uplifted by all your tapas? Screamed. And he was so angry that anger has made Durvasa blind. And out of anger, Durvasa uprooted a bunch of hair from his head. No, we can understand how angry Durvasa would have been. He pulled a whole bunch of hair from his head and smashed it on the ground. And a terrific jwala, Agni, Jwara came from his hair. And that is about to devour Ambarish, just to turn him into ashes. But Ambarish Maharaj did not react. This is a beautiful lesson about Vrindavan. Even though you are not at fault, in Vrindavan we cannot react. That is the message given by Rupa Goswami to Jiva Goswami. Even though you are not at fault, you have to simply admit and remain humble in Vrindavan. So that is what in Madhuvan Ambarish Maharaj is doing. Ambarish Maharaj with the folded arms, he stood in front of that jwara, that fire, and very humbly, if this is the will of the Supreme Lord, I am more than happy to accept it. What a humility. He has not done any mistakes. Still somebody is trying to turn him into ashes. And Ambarish was very humble. But to protect Ambarish, Sudarshan Chakra appeared and started. The moment Sudarshan Chakra appeared, the Sudarshan Chakra simply turned Jwara into ashes. See, fire turning fire into ashes, this will never happen. That is what the first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam says. Vinirmaya, if you go to the very first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says in the second or third line, Vinirmaya, Bhumi will become Jala, Jala will become Agni, Agni will become, very, very complicated illusion it is. Here, fire is killing a fire. Have you ever heard of fire killing a fire? And I have a question, a quiz for those listeners. At the end of the class, you should answer me. Petrol, is it water, element water, or element fire? You have to answer it at the end of the class. We have Panchabhuta, Bhumi, Jala, Agni, Vayu, Akasha. Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So petrol is fire or water. So here you can see Yatha Vinimaya, illusion of the Supreme Lord, nobody can understand. Fire devouring fire. Sudarshan Chakra appeared and killed the Jwara of Durvasa's Jata. Then Sudarshan Chakra started chasing Durvasa. For 1 full year, Durvasa was running. We know the story. 1 complete year Durvasa was running. And what Ambarisha is doing? Ambarisha has taken up the whole blame on himself. What kind of impudent person I am? What kind of an arrogant person I am? I have been the reason for the trouble of Durvasa Muni. Durvasa is running from planets to protect himself, and Sudarshan Chakra is chasing. So you see, actually Ambarish Maharaj was taking 1 day vrata, Ekadashi Nirjala vrata. But the moment Durvasa was chased by Sudarshana, Ambarisha extended his Nirjala vrata for 1 full year. He was standing at the same place in Madhuvan on the bank of river Yamuna. 1 complete year and waiting for Durvasa to come back, and that full year neither Ambarisha ate nor he sipped water. He was blaming himself. I have become the reason for this whole calamity. I have become the problem. I have become the reason. And he was blaming himself again and again and again, very, very genuinely. This is the mood of Madhuvan, Vrindavan. Even though we are not at fault, we should learn to accept it and try to find out whether we have done anything wrong in that issue. That will never happen in our lifestyle. We will always try to find fault in others, and we will always put the whole blame on others, and we are really concerned about only ourselves. But here, even though Ambarisha was not at his fault, he simply accepted everything. So, these are the two lessons from Ambarish Maharaj. One is accepting the blame, even though he has not done mistake, and doing that extra 1 year tapas, right? So finally, after 1 year, Durvasa came back to Ambarish Maharaj, and he fell at Ambarish Maharaj's feet, and Ambarish very honestly, genuinely feeling humble and said, no, no, Durvasa Muni, it is my fault. This is my arrogance. Please, and both of them touching each other's feet. All these beautiful leelas happened in Madhuvan. So here we pray at the lotus feet of Ambarisha that we also should have that mood. Only when we developed such a very humble mentality, we will be able to experience the presence of Lord. But in our normal life, you see, we never accept blames. We never accept our fault. Even though if we are forced to accept our fault, we will have always justification pointing our fingers to others. What a great personality. So these were the personality who spent time in Vrindavan. That is why Prabhupada very clearly said, our only business in Vrindavan is Krishna consciousness and nothing else. So by praying at the lotus feet of Durvasa Muni, Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj, now let us go to the bank of river Yamuna